You ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other places people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you get paid for this podcast. What I like about it is starting using it is how easy it is to use. I just upload those episodes of my podcast. I placed it other places, do some editing and tinkering, and voila, that's it. It's that simple. So if you always wanted to start your own podcast, make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start to join me in the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. And now, let's get on with the show. Hey, this is RedNick, your host of Weekend Weird. I just want to remind you that new episodes of Weekend Weird will be debuting later on this month, picking up where we started off. Right now, we have a new kind of bonus episode for you, where me and a couple of co-hosts review the Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars Episode 9. So, hope you enjoyed this little bonus episode, and we'll see you later on this month with new episodes. All right. Bye. Good evening. Welcome to a special episode of whatever the hell this show is called. I'm RedNick, their host of Weekend Weird. And figured I would do while we're on hiatus, even though new episodes are coming up pretty soon of Weekend Weird, to talk about a very controversial topic when it comes to film, Star Wars.
That's so traumatic.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun.
The Rise of Skywalker. Now, if you go back to my old SoundCloud page, we discussed a couple of years ago about The Last Jedi, and also me and O'Goul discussed his disappointment with Game of Thrones. And since those are Star Wars and Game of Thrones, the most toxic fandom that's out there. Yep. We would talk about it. I love Star Wars. I grew up on Star Wars. Everything in my life is based on some sort of Star Wars code or whatever. So we're going to discuss it now. But I'm not alone with the discussion. Pardon me. I'm also joined by our returning co-host, Mary. With the microphone, say something. Yeah. Mary.
Hi.
All right. We got Bieker returning.
Hi there.
And also returning for the second time, even though he said nothing the first time, is Joel.
Hello, Radioland.
It's more like podcast, but we get the point.
Is there anybody out there? I always wanted to say that.
Yes. So okay, let's start off with what people thought about it. Mary, allow you to go first.
My views on this movie have changed a lot since I saw it. When I initially saw it, I was a little bored. I'm going to be honest. I fell asleep for a portion of it. I thought it was mildly entertaining. I didn't really have a lot of issues with it, and the more I thought about it, I have some issues, which I'm sure everybody does as well. But
okay, Joel?
I haven't given as much thought to it, and I've read some stuff after the fact, but while I was watching it, I was entertained enough. I think it was a pretty cool throwback, just visually in terms of style, to the old films, and those are the ones that stick out the most in my mind and have the most nostalgia for me, is the original trilogy. So I think this one jived enough with it, which is a good and a bad thing, because it's bad that they're not doing original stuff, but it's also good that it's familiar to you, and you can just sit around and enjoy it.
Okay.
So that was my first. I didn't have high expectations going into it, so which is probably for my benefit, because I can just watch it and just sit back and not take it too seriously.
Okay. Bieker?
I love Star Wars, so I can't not take it seriously, unfortunately. But it's the first Star Wars movie I went out of just feeling confused and asking myself over and over again, why did you do that? Why are you doing this? While you're crushing my dreams. But I didn't hate it because it's Star Wars, but if it wasn't Star Wars, I probably would have really, really hated it. A lot of issues with it. So, yeah.
Okay. Very diverse views. God, how I felt about it. There's parts I liked about it. There's parts I was very confused about. Those parts I went, what the fuck? And there was parts I was just like, this don't make any sense whatsoever. And there's parts I just felt, meh. Overall, I liked the film. It felt a little familiar. There was things I wanted to happen, just like every other Star Wars fan who's thinking about the next movie and what they want to see out there. But overall, I thought it was a pretty decent movie. I saw it twice. The first time, I was kind of just sitting there just going... And then the second time, for things I might have missed over or might have just skimmed. So... yeah, that's how I felt about it. So let's go through some of the issues. Like, I'll start off the first question. What do you think about the Emperor Palpatine coming back? Start off with Bieker. Here.
I just didn't feel like it was necessary to the plot. I'm not totally against it. I just thought they could have gone somewhere different, and it was kind of like easy. It was too easy to just do that. Mm-hmm. And... like, they could have gone somewhere better with Rey and Kylo's story, and it made me really realize that they didn't really have a plot from the beginning of the trilogy. It's just like, okay, a lot of people hated The Last Jedi, let's just use the Emperor, make everybody happy, and, like, basically forget about The Last Jedi, which film I did enjoy.
Okay. Mary?
Yeah, I thought it was really unoriginal and really lazy. And I think I would have been more okay with it if they had explained how he was there. Like, if there was more of a backstory, that could have been a really cool thing, but they didn't have that. They're just recycling the bad guy that everybody knows, so I feel like they could have done a lot better with that.
Right. Joe?
Yeah, they were definitely calling it in. It's just, yeah, I agree with what Chris said. It's just they had to kind of reel in and win back the fan base they had alienated with The Last Jedi, so they had to just bring somebody back that was familiar, and that posed a big threat to this. But yeah, it was just kind of shoehorned into there without a whole lot of logical explanation.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of was like, oh, he's back, and at first, because I first heard it when I went to Star Wars Celebration. That he was coming back, I was kind of like, oh man, he's coming back. And then the next minute, you're just like, how? He was thrown down a shaft while electrocuting himself. How is he back? And then you're like, where the hell has he been for the last two movies? And just, like, you start thinking back, like, oh, what he said in Episode 3, the dark side of the Force is a pathway to abilities someone considered to be unnatural. It was like, oh, he found the how to come back from the dead. Then who was Snoke then? Then all of a sudden, then this movie explained what Snoke was, a clone. And I literally thought that Palpatine was coming back as a clone, and they figured out a way to clone him. Like some of the extended universe books that's not canon anymore. That Palpatine had came back, they were able to clone him.
Okay, well, I read. I'm not sure how accurate this is, but this did make some of that canon now. The Dark Empire stuff. It actually kind of does make some of it canon. All the stuff that went along there, it's now canon. So I thought J.J. Abrams kind of like...
He just stole from it or something.
No, I mean, he just like took all the fanboys who hated The Last Jedi and said, okay, let me make all this stuff canon now by doing this.
Oh, okay.
It's like Dark Empire, which was a comic book series, I believe, that was almost the exact same thing where the Emperor raised the dead and raised an army and all that stuff, and they just sort of threw it into the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that, actually. I'm totally fine with that. His precursor, which I guess you're saying isn't canon anymore, did learn how to do that. He had control over that, and he taught that to Palpatine. Like, that could have been an awesome storyline. I'm totally fine with that, but they didn't explain it at all.
Right. Yeah, it was just like, you just threw it in there, just like, oh, here, and we were expected to know it. Like, not everyone read the expanded series.
Yeah.
I didn't read the expanded series, but I did see the prequels, and I do remember that speech of Palpatine telling Anakin that how special the dark side. But staying on that topic, the revelation of who Rey is. How'd y'all feel about that? I'll start off real quick because that was the part that was one of the parts I was just like, what the fuck are you doing? It comes up that the fact that Rey is really Palpatine's granddaughter, which goes to the fact, which the thing that came into my head was, who the fuck Palpatine?
That did cross my mind too.
Yeah. And how come they never mentioned that he had a son anywhere at any point in time during the trilogy? He just had this secret family that he's running the galaxy. He's offing people, but he's got this secret family and his secret son just going around. It's like, why won't you be more like me? And it's like, I hate you, Dad. I just want to help people. Like, that's why Vader's more of a son to me than you are. I was like, that would be fascinating. Like, this dude, the most evil person in the entire galaxy, the whole universe, has a son that can't stand him and runs away from him. What the fuck?
Because they came up with it at the last minute.
Yeah. It came up with it out of the crack of their ass. Bieker, how you feel?
It would have been okay had they not. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Because if it all tied together, it would have been fine. But going back to the Last Jedi, I talked to Mary about this. She brought it up. At the end of the movie, you see like the kids moving
Room
stuff,
boy.
and like they'd say, "Rey, you're no one." So you kind of get a feeling that the Force is bigger than these people.
Right.
And, like this is going to be more of their story, and I feel like they kind of took away from that by throwing the Emperor in there.
The revolution.
Yeah, it's just like I know. People hated The Last Jedi for whatever reasons, but it just wasn't coherent. And that's my biggest problem with it. Even if you hated The Last Jedi, whatever, like you can't just ignore that stuff and then just say, "Here's the." I guess you can, but
well, that's what they did.
They did. And I still love Star Wars and I still like the movie, but it's just it's a problem, and it just didn't have cohesion.
Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't too upset with the Emperor coming back per se. I mean, like there's this lack of explanation, but I didn't expect him to have such a huge role in the movie.
Right.
Like he was just he was just front and center, just driving the main antagonist, driving everything.
Right.
So.
Well, what about the revelation that Rey is his granddaughter?
Yeah,
how you feel?
Similar sentiment. Yeah.
So it was okay.
Just make it bigger than just the main lineage. It is kind of just cheap and shallow writing.
Right.
I mean, there's all these just the huge universe, and there's just these solitary bloodlines that are influencing all events in the galaxy. It's not a very good message. And it does undermine, like that, the end of The Last Jedi, which an article put, I don't know what that article was from, but the idea of people rising up is more encouraging, and it's more jives with reality about who makes history. It's not superheroes necessarily, it's ordinary people that are encouraged to do great things.
And I feel like they tried to incorporate that at the end when people just randomly showed up.
Right.
No explanation. It's just...
Yeah, I really like that part at the end where just like the resistance is alone and Poe is on his last leg and he's just all of a sudden Lando comes in, you're not alone, and then everyone shows up and like the First Order is like, when did they get a fleet? It was like, no, it's not a fleet. This is everyone else.
That should have been the point of the movie.
That should have been the